Good day everyone, we are group 3, so now we will discuss the study skills and aesthetic reading. Skimming is the reading technique used to get the general ideas of the material. Fast reading to get the gist of the text. Skimming can save you hours of laborious reading. So, ito daw ay isang pamamaraan ng pagbasa upang makuha ang pangkalahatang ideya. Ito ay isang mabilisang pagbabasa upang makuha ang isang diwa ng teksto. Nakakatulong din ito upang makatipid sa oras ng pagbabasa. Steps in skimming. First, read the title and subtitle of the material. 2. Read the first paragraph completely. 3. Examine each subheading within the text. Change each one into a question. 4. Seek the answer to each subheading question by reading just the first sentence of each paragraph below it. Do not advance to the next subheading question until you find your answer. 5. Examine all illustration photos, charts, maps, figures, tables, diagrams, and other illustration. 6. Look for highlighted words and phrases. 7. If your eyes catch any unfamiliar words, write it down on a piece of paper. 8. Read the last paragraph completely. This is the examples of the skimming. The newspaper, to quickly get the general news of the day. Magazine, to quickly discover which articles you would like to read in more detail. Business travel brochures, to quickly get informed. So, alam naman natin na ang newspaper, kapag bumasa tayo doon, nakukuha agad natin yung mga issue, nalalaman agad natin yung mga issue sa napapanahon. And then yung magazine, andun yung mga iba't ibang articles na pwede nating basahin. Kung may gusto man tayong article na malaman, nandun din siya.
I'm Rosan Ayaso, the next reporter. So what is scanning? Scanning is kinda different because it's the reading techniques used when you are looking for the specific informations from materials. It involves moving your eye quickly down the pages, seeking specific words and phrases. Less reading, more on searching. Scanning, so these techniques used when you are looking for the factual data. Katulad na lang ng mga names, dates, definitions, codes, and formulas. And in scanning, you move your eye over the materials to locate specific details, or if you are looking or seeking for the specific words and phrases. We can say that scanning is less reading, but more on searching, because you are trying to search for the keyword or the specific words like names, numbers, and so on. So here is the example of scanning. So we have a Google search list on the internet, a bus, airplane, schedule, a conference guide, a graph. You scan when you are looking up a word in a dictionary. So that's for scanning. You are searching specific information. So let's go to the step in scanning. So before you scan, you think about the idea or the information that you want to find. So bago tayo mag-scan, isipin muna natin kung tungkol saan nga ba yung idea or information na gusto nating hanapin. You think about the data you are seeking or likely to look. So isipin natin kung tungkol saan yung data yung ating hinahanap o gusto nating tingnan doon sa ating sinesearch. So, you allow your eyes to go over the text without actually reading it. Because again, scanning is more on searching rather than reading. So do not forget to check the graphic materials, such as pictures, illustrations, maps or graphs, and their caption for the data. And if you fail to find what you want or what you are searching for after the first scan, go back and examine the table content, indices, chapter headings, subheadings, topic sentences, and the highlighted words to narrow the search for your second scan.
Note taking, the practice of writing down or otherwise recording key points of information. Taking note involves active listening as well as connecting and relating information to ideas you already know. It is also seeking answers to questions that arise from the materials.
Outlining its blueprint plant or your paper. It shows that orders of the virus topic, the relative importance of each and the relationship between the virus part. It is a way from formally arranging and develop your idea.
There are two types of an outline: the topic outline and the sentence outline. The topic outline is the headings are given in single word or brief phrases. And the sentence outline is all the headings are expressed in complete sentences.
The four principles of outlining. Number 1. Ranking. Each sub-heading is more specific than the heading. Number 2. Parallelism. Every heading starts with the same part of the speech. Number 3. Parity. All headings, one level, are equal important. Number 4. Fragmentation. Every main heading is divided in at least two sub-headings.
Summarizing. Cutting it down to its bare essentials, you can use both techniques to clarify and simplify complex information or ideas. When we say summarizing, ito yung pagbubuod natin ng mga mahalagang detalye. Kumbaga, halimbawa, yung isang story napakahaba. So, ang gagawin natin, isa-summarize natin at ilalagay natin doon yung mga mahalagang detail para naman makatulong sa atin na mapaikli or makatipid tayo sa oras ng pagbabasa kasi dun sa summarize, andun na yung mga importanteng details na makikita natin sa isang story. So, what is the importance of summarizing? Summarizing teaches students how to discern the most important ideas in a text, how to ignore irrelevant informations, and how to integrate the central ideas in a meaningful way. Teaching students to summarize improves their memory for what is reading. Summarization strategies can be used in almost every content area. So, natututo tayo na i-ignore yung mga details na walang katuturan. Natututo rin tayo kung paano pagsama-samahin ang mga sentral na ideya sa isang makabuluhang pamamaraan. What are the 6 steps in writing summary? First, read and reread the text. 2. Search for the most important concepts and fundamental points of the text. 3. Organize the main idea. 4. The main body paragraph. 5. Conclusion paragraph. 6. Write the text with your words. There are 2 types of summary: descriptive summary and evaluative summary. When we say descriptive summary, it is a summary very much rooted in expressing fact. It focuses on the essence of the item under review, sharing the main point and any important supporting details. The writer's opinions is rarely found in descriptive summary. Ito daw ay isang naglalarawang buod na lubhang nakaugat sa isang katotohanan. So, kapag descriptive summary, ito yung mga makakatotohanang pahayag or makatotohanang buod. Evaluative summary includes your own opinion of the text. This is different to other summaries. In your evaluation, you critically evaluate the material that you are reading. Pag sinabi nating evaluative, ito yung may sarili kang opinion sa isang pagbubuod.
Reference books. Use reference books, also called reference or background sources or resources, to get quick specific facts or information or an overview of a subject. Some examples of reference sources are dictionaries, encyclopedias, bibliographies, almanacs, directories, atlases, and handbooks. So, ano nga ba ang reference books? Ito yung aklat na tinatawag ding sanggunian o background na pinagmumulan o mapagkukuhanan upang makakuha ng mas mabilis o tiyak na mga katotohanan at informasyon o isang pangkalahatang idea ng isang paksa. 3 types of reference books: bibliographies, list of sources on specific topics; bibliographical sources, information on the lives of individuals, chronologies, dates, and timelines for event. Examples are article with DOI, article without DOI, book, chapter in an edited book, dissertation of thesis, legal material, magazine article, newspaper article.
Non-book materials or NBMS are those materials which do not come within the definition of a book, periodical or pamphlet, and which require special holding, etc., audiovisual materials, microforms or computer files, electronic resources. The term non-book refers to materials of a non-printed text form. This can include but is not limited to digital media, film, audio files, drawing, and software. They also include photographic materials, motion pictures, and microfilms in the libraries. Non-book materials consist of periodicals, newspapers, pamphlets, map, photographs, pictures, posters, slides, film strips, motion pictures, videotapes, cassettes, microfilms and microfiches, computer discs, etc.
Hi, I'm Cedric Alexander Ipunsalan and I'm going to report what is clipping. What is clipping? Clipping is a process of shortening a word by omitting one or two of its parts, beginning, middle, or ending letters or syllables, while retaining its original meaning. So, in short, ang clipping ay isang paraan upang mapaikli natin ang isang salita nang hindi magbabago ang ibig sabihin nito sa pamamagitan ng pagtatanggal o pagbabawas ng ilang letra o kaya naman ay syllables. Maaaring ito ay simula ng salita, gitna o hulihan. In clipping, we have 4 main types. First is back clipping. In back clipping, the first part of the word is kept. Dito, ang maiiwan lamang ay ang unang 2 o hanggang 4 nitong letra. Ang mga halimbawa nito ay pop that comes from the word popular music, gym from gymnasium, memo from memorandum, ad for advertisement, and demo for demonstration. Second, we have for clipping. In for clipping, the last part of the word is kept. For clipping, ito naman ang kabaliktaran ng back clipping. Kung sa back clipping, ang itinitira ay ang mga nasa unahang letra, sa for clipping naman ay ang mga nasa hulihan. For example, phone from the word telephone, site from website, plane for airplane, burger for hamburger, bulb for light bulb. Third is middle clipping. In middle clipping, the middle of the word is kept. Dito naman ang itinitira ay ang middle part. Two example of these are bridge from refrigerator and flu from the word influenza. For our fourth and last type, we have complex clipping. In complex clipping, part of the original compound is kept. Dito ang karaniwang halimbawa nito ay ang mga dalawang salita na karaniwang itinitira ang mga naunang letra. Ang mga halimbawa ng complex clipping ay photo op for photo opportunity, rom-com for romantic comedy.
EMC Material Graphic Maps. First, what is a graphic map? The graphic map is designed to assist teachers and students in writing and writing activities. The organizer focuses on charting the high and low points related to a particular item or group of items, such as chapters in a book, amounts of money spent, event during a day, month, year or life, or scenes in a play. And so, ang mapa or graph ay mga grapikong pantulong upang madaling maunawaan at nagagawang payak ang mga datos na inilalahad sa isang teksto. Kapaki-pakinabang ang mga ito para sa isang mananaliksik sapagkat malinaw at siyentipiko niyang natatalakay ang kanyang paksa.
So hello, my name is Patrick Fornilosa and I will explain what is the meaning of graphs. What is graph? Graphs is a diagram such as a series of one or more points, lines, line segments, curves, or areas that represent the variation of a variable in comparison with that of one or more other variables. The collection of all points whose coordinates satisfy a given relation, such as a function, a collection of vertices and edges that join pairs of vertices. Example of graphs in a sentence. Students were asked to graph each question. Example of graphs. Popular graph types includes line graphs, bar graphs, pie chart, scatter plots, and histograms. Graphs are a great way to visualize data and display statistics. For example, a bar graph or chart is used to display numerical data that is independent of one another.
Charts. A chart is a graphical representation for data visualization, in which the data is represented by symbols such as bars in a bar chart, lines in a line chart, or slices in a pie chart. A chart can represent tabular numeric data, functions, or some kinds of quality structure and provides different info. Examples: column charts, bar charts, pie charts, donut charts, line charts, area charts, scatter charts, spider or radar charts, wages, and comparison charts.
Reading essays. It helps you to develop your thoughts and express your own opinion. New ideas and thoughts pop up in your mind by active reading. It stimulates and develops your brain and gives you a new perspective. An essay is a focused piece of writing designed to inform and persuade. There are many different types of essay, but they are often defined in 4 categories. Number 1 is argumentative essay. An argumentative essay expresses an extended argument for a particular thesis statement. Sir, ito po yung essay na may pinapanigan. Halimbawa po, yung sa war on drugs. Ipaglalaban nyo po yung side na napili nyo kung sang-ayon po ba kayo o hindi. Ang second po ay expository essay. An expository essay is a genre of essay that requires the student to investigate an idea, evaluate evidence, expand on the idea, and set forth an argument concerning that idea in a clear and concise manner. Coming from the word expose po, Ito po yung essay na ginagamitan ng pag-iimbestiga, evaluating evidence, para po mas mapatunayan na epektibo po yung ginagawa nating pag-aaral. The third one po is narrative essay, a type of essay that has a single motive or a central point around which the whole narrative revolves. Ito po yung essay na more on parang storytelling po siya na nagpo-focus lang po sa iisang goal. Halimbawa po, pinagawa po kayo ng essay about yourself. Magpo-focus lang po kayo sa sarili nyo, sa experience, sa buhay nyo po. Ang huli po ay descriptive essay. Is a genre of essay that asks the student to describe something like person, object, place, experience, emotion, and situation.
Reading poetry, an event in which people read poems that they have written aloud for a group. A poetry reading is a public recitation or performance of poetry. It is performed at events called poetry slams or simple slams. The name slams came from how the audience has the power or sometimes destroy a poem and perform the high-energy performance style of the poets. Sa madaling salita, ang reading poetry ay nagpapakita ng pagsasalita o pagbibigay ng speech sa harap ng maraming tao.
Lyric poetry refers to a short poem, often with song-like qualities that expresses the speaker's personal emotions and feelings. Historically intended to be sung and accompany musical instrumentation. Lyric now describe a broad category of non-narrative poetry including elegies, odes, and sonnets. And here are the different kinds of lyric poetry. Elegy, a reflective poem to honor the dead. Haiku, a 17-syllable poem that uses natural imagery to express an emotion. Ode, an elevated poem that pays tribute to a person, idea, place, or another concept. Sonnet, a descriptive 14-line poem with a specific rhyme scheme. A narrative poetry is a longer form of poetry that tells an entire story with a beginning, middle, and an end. Narrative poems contain all of the elements of the fully developed story, including characters, plot, conflict, and resolution. These poems are typically told by just one narrator or speaker. Here are the different kinds of narrative poetry. Allegory, a narrative poem that uses an extended metaphor to make a point. Ballad, a narrative poetry to set music, and other one is burlesque, a mock epic poem that tells an ordinary story in a melodramatic way. The last one is epic, a lengthy poem that tells a story of a heroic adventures. Dramatic poetry is written in verse and is meant to be spoken or acted out, usually to tell a story or portray a situation. Most dramatic poetry is in the form of dramatic monologues, which are long speeches by one actor to another, or the audience, or soliloquies, which are one's thoughts spoken out loud, regardless of whether anyone hears them or not. Dramatic poetry differs from narrative poetry in that it is written and told by the perspective of the character, while narrative poetry is a story told by the narrator. Another form of dramatic poetry is known as closet drama. Closet drama is a poetry that intended to be read and not performed, and became a trend in early 80s. Poets Lord Byron and Percy Bysshe Shelley were big advocates of this poetic form. Here are the different kinds of dramatic poetry. Monologue, a speech given by one character to another, or by one character to the audiences, also known as dramatic verse, when in not poetic form. Second one is soliloquy, a speech given by one character to himself or herself, a dramatic representation of a inner monologue.
A short story is a short narrative that written to entertain and sometimes bring message to the reader. All stories are based on a struggle the author tries to resolve. By its nature, short stories are concise and focus on a few elements: character, conflict, description, setting, and plot. There are 5 important elements of a short story. First, character. A character is a person or sometimes even an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or other literary work. Setting. The setting of a short story is the time and place in which it happens. Authors often use description of landscape, scenery, buildings, season, or weather to provide a strong sense of setting. Third, plot. A plot is a series of events and character action that relate to the central conflict. Conflict. The conflict is a struggle between the two people or things in a short story. The main character is usually on the side of the central conflict. On the other side, the main character may struggle against another important character, against the forces of nature, against society, or even against something inside himself or herself. Feelings, emotions, illness. And last, theme. The theme is a central idea or belief in a short story.
The epical story is typically the best stories of this type are those where, despite being inevitable in retrospect, the arrival of this missing part is genuinely unexpected from the reader's point of view. The second type of short story is lyrical story. Instead of focusing on the plot, the lyrical story is distinguished by its emphasis on the central recurring image or symbol, around which the narrative revolves and from which it acquires an open and flexible meaning. Ang example ng mga lyrical story ay Now Land to the Light On by Yara, The Gravity of the Birds by Tracy, and the third one is Winter by Alice Smith. So the third example of a short story is a artifice story. A third type of short story should be considered for a deriving its surprise not from the arrival of any revelation or the escalation of any image, but from the intertwining of two seeming and incompatible ingredients. Be these two incompatible storyline, perspective, or indeed realities. Example of an artifice is the story a con artist used to convince you to give him your money. And the second example of the short story is the short story by Charles May.